All right, what is up, my peeps? Joshua Smith here with another GSD Mode podcast real estate tip. And today I'm here to do a deep dive into 8 specific steps on how you can 2x, 3x, or possibly even 4x your real estate business next year. So at least as the time of me recording and releasing this video, and I'm doing this very strategically right now at this time because it's early November. So this gives you all of November and all of December to start preparing and getting these 8 different specific steps I'm going to walk you through here today dialed in inside your business. So when January 1st hits of 2024, you're not just starting to work on your business plan and starting to work on getting this stuff in place. It's in place and you are boom sprinting into 2024 with the momentum that you need to go out there and make sure that your 2024 goals are reality. And whether that be to 2x, 3x, 4x, or look, for some of you, you may be like, well, Josh, I don't necessarily care to 2x or 3x my business. If I could get a 10% increase in my business, but figure out how to do it in less hours, okay, all of these things will help out with that. Whether you're looking to grow or keep your business at the same level, but just figure out how to do it in half the time or a third of the time. Look, I've had years during my career where it's like, hey, man, the money was damn good, but my lifestyle just sucked because I was slaving away 80 or 100 hour work weeks. And I'm like, okay, my next goal was to figure out how to maintain my level of income, but to do it in half the amount of time. So whatever your overall goal is, these 8 steps will help you go out there and accomplish that. So make sure you got your pen and paper ready because we're going to do a deep dive into these. I'm going to walk you through very specific actionable steps to go out there and take. And I want to make sure that, look, we all know that information alone is not power. Information isn't power. It's what we do with that information, the action steps that we take with the information, the implementation of that information that allows that information then to become power in our lives. Okay, so with all that being said, we are just going to jump on into this and get this party started. Okay, so step number 1. And this is something that, if you've been watching or listening to my podcast for a long time, you've heard me talk about a lot. But there's a reason why this is so important, so please do not gloss or glaze over this if this is something that you've heard me say before. All right, so step number 1 is to get extreme clarity on what it is that you want, why you want it, and why it's important to you. And go deep with this. Don't allow yourself to just give yourself shallow answers. You need to really understand why this stuff is important to you and why you must make these things a reality with this, one gift of a blessing of life that we all have. And why is this so important? I'm not trying to make this sound all woo-woo, whatever. But the reason why this is so important is that the amount of boredom and the path to success is boring. It's mundane. It is tedious. And some elements of it can be painful. And in order to push through that boring, tedious, mundane, and sometimes painful shit that we need to do to make our goals a reality, we've got to have that extreme clarity as to why we're doing this work. There's going to be thousands of reasons as to why not show up to do the necessary work. And usually there's only 1, 2, 3, maybe half a dozen reasons as to why to show up and do the work. So the more clear you are on what it is that you want, why you want it, why it's important to you, so the more clarity that you have around that, the more probability or the higher the probability is that you are going to push through the bullshit that you have to do. Look, I always say that real estate is very simple, right? And what I mean by this, simple does not mean easy. What I mean by this is when I, committed to my health and fitness journey. A lot of you know, some of you may not, but I used to be morbidly obese, almost 300 pounds, and completely neglected and lost my health. And I committed to losing over 100 pounds, and now I've kept it off for, well over a decade now, almost 2 decades. And, that journey was extremely simple. Doesn't mean it was easy. It was extremely simple. It's like, look, I just had to eat these specific meals each and every day. And there were simple meals to prep for and eat. And then I just had to show up and do this amount of activity each and every single day. It was so damn simple. The difficult part was controlling my mind and having to say yes to the chicken breast and broccoli and no to the double bacon cheeseburger and French fries and Dr. Pepper that I really, really wanted, that I was really, really craving, but because I was so clear on what I wanted, why I wanted it, why it was important to me, it allowed me to make the decision to move forward with the chicken breast and broccoli versus that double bacon cheeseburger, right? So it allows us to make those right decisions and say no to those wrong decisions. So that's number one. Look, you're going to, this is not going to be, like I said, it's simple, but it's not easy, right? So in order to push through and get through, controlling our mind or whatever, because there's going to be days where you don't want to be consistent. There's going to be days where you don't want to do the work. There's going to be days where you don't want to, push through this shit. The more clear you are on what you want, why you want it, why it's important to you, the higher the probability that you are going to push through this shit, right? So that's step number one. Okay, so step number two. And again, we're going to get more granular as we go down here. So step number two is another simple one, but it's just an understanding that we need to understand and know, because otherwise you're going to continue experiencing a shit ton of resistance inside your real estate business, is to understand that the solution is not to work more hours and is not to work harder. Now, I am not one to say that you're not going to have to put in work and you're not going to have to work hard. And I understand that there's a level of focus and work and energy that it takes to go out there and create success. And I love to work. I'm a hard worker. I'm a workhorse, so I'm not one to sit there and say that, oh, you don't need to work hard, right? Like by any means, that's not what I mean here. But what I want you to understand is that, look, we're limited with the amount of hours. Doesn't matter how hard we work and how many hours that we work, we are going to have a limitation. So when I'm talking with somebody, let's just say an agent, inside my company or a coaching client that wants to 3x their business, over the next 12 months, and they're working 8 hours every single day inside their business. Now, most of them are usually working closer to 10 hours, right? But let's just say they're working 8 hours, right? Well, then from there, okay, well, if there's 8 hours in a day, and if they tripled that business, so what are you going to work 24 hours a day? Like that becomes an impossibility. You got to sleep. You got to have a life outside of here. You got to, like that is something that becomes impossible at a certain point. And I'm sure that most of us can agree that that's not something that we want to do. Then from there, on top of that, it doesn't matter how hard you work. It doesn't matter how hard, how focused you are and how hard you work. If you are focused and working on the wrong shit, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how hard you are sprinting. If you are chasing the sunset and you are sprinting east, you are never going to see it. So yeah, you got to work hard, and yeah, you got to be focused, and yeah, you got to show up, and you got to be consistent. But the most important thing is to work hard, show up, be consistent on the right things, and doing your focus on the right actions, on the right things, and doing them in the right ways. This way, you don't necessarily need to work harder. You don't really necessarily need to work more hours to go out there and 2x, 3x, or 4x your business. You are just working then on the right things in the most effective and efficient way. So step number two is just to understand that the solution overall, if you want to continue to grow and scale your business, is to not work more hours and to not work harder. That is a shitty business plan. That's only going to get you so far, and that's going to turn into burnout and other things. Okay, so step number three. Now we're going to start getting granular into this. Okay, so step number three. Now, if you want to 2x, 3x, 4x more your business, we need to assess what it is that you are currently doing that is getting you the results that you're currently getting. And I know that the results that you are currently getting, there's a big gap from maybe where you're at to where you ultimately want to be, right? And we got to understand what that gap is, but we still need to identify. And this is where I always start, with my coaching clients, or those that, join my real estate team or my real estate company here in Phoenix, is, okay, well, what are you currently doing that's working, that's leading to the business that you get? And maybe you want to close 50 deals, and right now you're closing 10 deals. Okay, well, let's assess what you're doing to get those 10 deals. Yeah, I understand it's a 40 deal deficit. There's a 40 deal gap. But again, let's assess what you are currently doing with those 10 deals and not just the 10 deals over the last 12 months, but historically what you've done. Then, and when I say assess this, is let's identify where there's potential holes and potential opportunities on how to go out there and improve those, right? So, here's an example with one of my coaching clients not too long ago. They shared with me their goals, and with their current lead strategies, like, dude, they didn't need to add any new lead gen strategies. They didn't need to work more hours. We just had to refine what they were doing, and we were able to get them, 3x the amount of results with what they were already doing They just weren't executing on those in the most optimized, most effective, most efficient way. So then from there, because a lot of times, again, like, and this goes back to step number 2 of understanding that you don't necessarily, the solution isn't working more hours or working harder, right? It comes down to, okay, like, yeah, we got to work hard and we got to be focused and all of those things, but we also got to work intelligently. So a lot of times, I find that, okay, you have the right, like you have a proven proven methods in place. Your strategy just overall is flawed. So let's improve that. Let's tweak that. And these tweaks can happen fast. I think the last podcast, I did a session with you guys in the last podcast about setting 4 listing appointments in one single day. And that came about from one of my coaching clients that's been calling expireds for years and years and years, and then just made some quick tweaks, inside what he was doing because he was experiencing some resistance. And then all of a sudden there, like in one single day of making those tweaks, and it was just, swapping out the script, swapping out a couple small, tiny little things. He set 4 listing appointments in one single day, 188 dials and 4 listing appointments in one single day. So a lot of times it's just these little tweaks in what we say, how we say it, what our internal process is, to go out there and maximize and optimize those results. So another way of looking at this, and this is something that, I internally do with my teammates, is okay, like if they're converting at 3% on their primary lead source, let's just say, but we know that the optimal conversion for that lead source should be 10%. Okay, well, if we just work on their skills and improving their skills, they don't need more leads to 3.5 or over 3x their business. We just make some tweaks to their skill set throughout the whole entire process, through the whole entire funnel, get them from a 3% conversion to a 10% conversion. And we've just over 3x'd their business in a very quick amount of time without them having to get more leads, without them having to necessarily work more hours, right? So this is where it's assessing what is currently working and then seeing how we can improve within those things. Okay, so step number 4 now, and this is if it's a needed thing. Like I said, you might find that you can 2x. I mean, a lot of my coaching clients, I'm able to get them to 2x or 3x their business by not having to necessarily do more shit. It's just improving at those things. Because you guys, especially right now in this market that we are in right now today here in 2023, as we're winding out 2023, going into 2024, this is a market where skill set matters more so than any market that I've seen in the, almost 18 plus years that I've been doing this in this business. Skill set matters, right? So knowing what to say, how to say it, knowing how to deliver it, knowing how to overcome certain objections, knowing how to identify the true root core problem, because the best salespeople are just great problem solvers. Okay, well, in order to solve the problem, we got to identify the problem. In order to identify the problem, you've got to be able to make the lead or the customer or whomever extremely comfortable with you, disarm them so they'll be open, honest, and vulnerable with you of what that true core problem is, and then be able to connect with them in the right way by asking the right questions and being able to navigate those conversations in an extremely effective way, to get them to then listen to us. So then that way we can solve their true root core problem, right? So these are things I'm working with my coaching clients all the time on, because they have daily access to me. So we're able to go through, okay, what objection happened, what happened here, how to better handle this situation, and that, get them dialed in on these things so we can improve those skill sets. All right, so then, but again, okay, so step number 4, if needed, add new proven effective strategies to come up with that deficit, right? So, okay, you're at, you're closing 10 deals, and I know most of you are closing more than this. I'm just using this as an example. You're closing 10 deals a year. You want to get to 50. Okay, identify what's working to those 10. And let's just say you're able to 3x those. So now that gets you to 30. Well, you're still at a 20 deal a year deficit from getting to your goal of hitting 50, right? So then from there, okay, we need to then identify what is that new strategy and or strategies that you're going to implement that are proven to work. And that is a key term here. What are the effective proven strategies based on based on the overall market that we are seeing, that also align with your strengths, that are doable for you, to go out there and make up that deficit, right? Because the path isn't the math with this stuff. Like, we got to deal in realities with this. We can't, hoping and praying is a good thing, but it's not a good business plan. Like, we don't want a business plan on hoping and praying that the phone's going to ring, or hoping and praying that we're going to get a bunch of referrals, or hoping and praying that, no, we got to play offense, right? We got to go out there and get shit done in our real estate businesses, be intentional, play offense. So, okay, step number 4, just to recap, if needed, add new proven effective strategy and or strategies. You might just need one. Like right now, is an example, in this current market that we are in, this is the second easiest market that I've ever seen to go out there and stack listings. There's no reason that any one of you can't be listing at a minimum 1 new listing a week. If you're full-time, like, look, if you want to, you could be listing a home a day. Right? Like, one of my coaching clients just reached out to me and he just had kind of an overwhelming moment because he's stacking so many listings right now. And he's like, man, I as I'm crunching the numbers and going through this, he's like, I don't know if and where the overwhelm came in is, I don't know how I can handle with my current infrastructure, handle 27, or 20, I can't remember if it's 26 or 27, new listings and sales every single month. That's a big leap for him in his business, but with the tweaks that, been made, that's where he's at now, or that's the run rate he's at now. And I'm like, okay, well, the good news is, and I know his business and with the manpower that he has, we just got to dial in his systems and processes to ensure that he can scale to that. That's an easy thing to go out there and solve, when it comes to that. But with this, like, dude, you can go out there with 1 or 2 new strategies, go out there and be listing that kind of volume, even by yourself, right? Now, it might take, once you get there, you might need some, an assistant help or admin help. But when the business is there, that's easy to plug in, those people, which we'll talk about here later. Okay, so step number 4, just recap. If needed, add a proven new strategy and or strategies. Okay, so step number 5 is to improve your overall skill set at the overall real estate sales funnel, right? So when we're looking at this, the quickest way to 2x or 3x or whatever our business is to 2-3x our skill sets, right? So then that way it's not necessarily taking more actions. It's that we are improving. Like, okay, if I get 2, 3, or 4x better at each action I take, okay, well then from there, I can go out there and 2, 3, 4x my results with the same amount of actions that I'm already taking. Because as we've already talked about in step number 2 here, is that more hours, more work is not going to be a proven strategy for you. That's a shitty business plan. And I know this from personal experience, because when I got started in this business, that was my business plan out of the gate. And I quickly realized that was a shitty business plan. There's only so many hours in a day. I was working from 4 a.m. to midnight, and I understood that wasn't sustainable. I knew things had to change, but what did I do, man? I over doubled my production going into my first year to second year, and then my second year to third year, over 3x my production. And it wasn't because I worked more hours or was working harder. No, I actually worked a little bit less. I still working my ass off, but I worked a little bit less. But the main difference is that I understood then, through my own personal experiences and pains that I experienced, the power of developing skill sets. So it wasn't that I was necessarily doing more, is that the guy that was doing them was 2 or 3 or 4x better at doing those things. So improving your skill set at each aspect of the real estate sales funnel. So what does that do? So let's break that down real quick. Okay, the top of the funnel, the real estate sales funnel, is your activities. This is your lead generation activities. You need to obsess over and improve your skill set on maximizing and optimizing every lead gen activity that you do to get as many possible leads through that activity as you possibly can. And just little shit, like just understanding little tiny things. Like, okay, if I'm talking to somebody and they come up to me and ask me for a business card, what am I going to do? Hand them a business card, and what's going to happen with that? It's going to end up in the trash. Or if it's like people that give me business cards, I'm bad about leaving those in my pocket. They wind up in the laundry machine. And then inside the lint trap, like that's me playing defense. That's me being passive. I know that that's never going to result into anything. So when somebody asks for a business card, oh, hey, I just ran out. Let me do this. I pull out my cell phone right then and there. Hey, let me do this. What's your cell number? I'll text you right now so you have my information. And then boom, like I just lead the process. They do it. Everybody for the most part does it. Once in a while, get some, no, I don't feel comfortable with that. Okay, no worries, man. What are you on social media? Let's connect there then. I'll give them more of a comfortable way, for them to connect with me. But dude, 99.9% of the people are like, they don't even think about it. They just say, okay, yeah, no problem. Here it is, right? And I'm able to confirm that I got the right number because I'm right in front of them. Okay, well, just that one little tweak, okay, maybe that leads into an extra 2 deals a year. Little things like when people say, oh, I'll get back to you, right? Oh, hey, that's not a problem. Just so I'm prepared, what's your time frame of getting back to me? Well, sometime next week. Okay. Yeah. And again, not a problem at all. And just so you don't have to hunt and chase me down, if it'd be helpful for you, let's do this. I got my calendar pulled up. If you can pull up your calendar right now, what's a good time over the next day or two for us to schedule a time that works for you? And again, I've got my calendar up, so I'll make sure that it works for me. So we can set up a time to schedule another call. That way you don't have to worry about chasing me down and vice versa. Okay, well, like if I'm relying on somebody to get back to me, the probability of them getting back to me is very slim. And now I'm in chase mode again. So now we commit something to a calendar, right, with that. Then from there, I take it a step further. Hey, just out of curiosity, like if they're needing to think about it. So just so I'm prepared for when we talk here on Monday, let's just say, whatever we set that is, just so I'm prepared. So when we talk on Monday, just so I'm prepared. So when we have our conversation on Monday, just out of curiosity, what's going on in your mind right now that you're wanting to think about? Again, just so I'm prepared in our next conversation. So then, boom, I'm able to identify what that obstacle is that they're having. And sometimes, we're able to just squash that right then and there and keep the process moving forward. Sometimes not, and that's okay too, but at least I'm prepared for that call. I'm prepared for what they're thinking about, right? And I can manage that call at that time. Like just those tiny little tweaks on every little thing that we do. The mistake that so many make in our industry is they think that they need big moves, big shifts, big changes in your real estate business and your way of operation to go out there and dramatically change your business. And that's just not the case, right? Small, tiny hinges swing big ass doors, right? Like the things that you might be doing are 80% there. We just got to dial in the 20% that are missing. It's just these small, tiny little tweaks to every, all these little actions that we're taking each and every day to improve. You get, 1% better at each little thing. Boom, it makes a monumental difference on your overall business. Okay, so like I said, we got activities. So you got to maximize and optimize every single one of your lead gen activities because those activities exist and only exist in your real estate business to go out there and generate leads. Okay, then boom, those leads go into my funnel, go into my CRM. Then from there, okay, those leads exist for me to set an appointment with those. So meaning, okay, I need to refine and master and improve my skill set and dialing in to make sure I have the most effective, efficient follow-up protocol to maximize and optimize my conversion rates per lead source. Okay, well, those leads exist for me then to set an appointment. So then, okay, as I set those appointments, the appointment set exists to go out there and conduct those appointments, right? I know that sounds like a dumb moment, but when we look at the average agent out there that has a 50% show rate, that is a shitty show rate. You should be having a 75% or greater show rate. And there's strategic ways to go out there and do that inside your business through selling the value of the appointment, through making sure that not only that they know the value of the appointment, but making them feel safe, non-pushed, non-pressured, non-hassled, so they feel comfortable at showing up for that appointment, right? Then from there, having the right confirmation process in place, to get them to show up and getting in those right micro commitments to get them to show up. All those tiny little things, right? Like you're already setting the appointment, all these tiny little tweaks, right, can increase your show rate by 25% or more. Industry average is 50%. Let's get you up to 75%. Okay, then those appointment conductions, those exist to go out there and generate a client, right? Like, okay, whether it's a listing appointment where I'm meaning getting a listing agreement signed, buyer consultation, getting a buyer broker agreement signed. Okay, what are you doing? How are you conducting those? Are you conducting those as a true professional? Do those need any little tweaks or whatever? So you can maximize and optimize your overall conversion rates, right? Because we want you to be at a 90% or over appointment conduction to client ratio. Okay, well then you got the client process. Okay, like what are you doing with your buyer clients and your seller clients not under contract? What are you doing with those under contract to go out there and maximize and keep that process moving forward to get them under contract, to get that deal closed, make it a great experience for them, right? Then boom, we get that, get them under contract, then we get it closed or get their property closed. Get your commission check. That isn't just a commission check now. That becomes now your number one client or your number one lead source and becomes boom, repeats and restarts over the funnel. So we got to maximize and optimize that to maximize, the amount of repeat referral business that you're getting. This is what I'm talking about. So we got to know and understand the real estate sales funnel, and we got to make sure that we are mastering our skills at each level of this, because you get just a little bit better at each one. It makes a monumental difference on your overall business. Okay, so step number 6 here is to dial in your internal processes and your systems. The reason why I have this here inserted in step number 6 is because, okay, what are processes and systems? Processes are just the step-by-step actions that we are taking to get the desired result that we want. Right? So what are those processes built around? Those processes are built around our overall strategies. All strategy is just your overall effective plan to get the desired result, right? So that's all our processes are. Here's step 1, here's step 2, here's step 3, here's step 4, here's step 5. But we need to have the right strategies and the skills and all of that stuff in place. So then we're building our processes around those, right? And then those processes just live inside of a system to ensure that those processes are never missed. They're done each and every single time in the same way. Each customer is getting the same exact experience. We're getting the same exact results each and every time. It's replicatable, it's duplicatable. And over time, the great thing about systems and processes is they also force us over time to develop the right habits and whatnot. So step number 6 is then to dial in the right systems and processes. If you want to continue to grow and scale, systems and processes become extremely, extremely key, right? Step number 7 is then to make sure that you're tracking each element of the real estate sales funnel, each element of your overall real estate business. Look, it's impossible to make smart strategic decisions inside your business if you are not tracking your numbers. You will not 2x, 3x, or 4x your business if you are not tracking your numbers. If you are not tracking your numbers, you're probably going to fail. And when I say fail, it doesn't mean that you're going to have to hang up the helmet and drop out of the industry altogether. By failure, I mean failing to hit your overall goals, the reason as to why you got in this industry in the first place. It's I don't want to say it's funny to me, because it's not, right? It's truly out of concern, for my agents internally or coaching clients. But so often when I ask them, why did you get into this business? And they'll tell me, typically the answers of that is, I want to have endless amount of opportunities to go out there and create more opportunities for myself and for my family, meaning unlimited income earning potential, which, okay, yep, this industry has that. Then from there, to be in control of our time, or I want to be in control of my time so, I can spend more time with my family and do these things. Okay, well, this industry is the best industry I've ever found for us to be able to accomplish those two things. But then from there, I'll tell them, I'm like, okay, if those things are so important to you, why are you not doing one of the, if not the number one most important thing in order to make those things a reality, which is tracking your numbers? Because if you're not tracking your numbers, it becomes an impossibility to know what to scale up or what to scale down, like what to cut out, how to allocate your money and or your time. So like 50% of the shit that you might be focusing your time on might not be yielding any results. So you could cut out that bullshit, make the same amount of money, and go spend 50% of that time with your family and loved ones. Or you could go out there and have maybe you scale up, cut out that 50% of that time, and then increase, 25 and allocate another 25% of that time to what's working. So you increase your income by 25%. Then from there, that gives you 25% more time to spend with your family. Whatever the equation is there. But I'm just telling you right now, it's an impossibility. If you are not tracking your numbers, it's impossible to make smart strategic decisions on how to allocate your time and your money to what they continue to grow and scale and to accomplish those things of making endless amounts of opportunities and having an abundance of time to spend with your loved ones. Okay, so then step number 8, the final last step here, is to strategically plug in and add the right people at the right times inside the right areas inside your business. Now, this is a little bit of a science, right? Like you got to make sure that you're doing this in a very fiscally responsible manner, right? Because each person that you hire, you need, obviously you need to be able to afford to hire them. So you want to make sure that you have an abundance of revenue coming in, consistent revenue that's tracked and measured, so you can afford that person and you're bringing them on at the right times. But then from there, once I bring that person on, okay, I got to know exactly what to train them on, how to train them, and go through that so I get an ROI on that person, right? Because that person shouldn't just buy you back that time. You should also get an ROI on that person, and treat as you're hiring people, just like you would a lead gen, like a new lead gen strategy, So, I break it down to where, okay, I know what my return of my investment should be on each person that I bring inside my organization based on what their seat is and what their role is. So you got to be able to go out there, master that hiring process and be able to plug in the right people at the right times. Now, look, if you're doing 10 deals and getting to 50 deals, okay, you may not need anybody yet, right? But if you're doing 100 deals and you want to go to 400 deals, which a lot of my coaching clients are at that level, right? Like, okay, well then, if you're going from 400 deals, you want to get to 1,000 deals, okay, at that point, like it's going to take people at some point, again, if you're, under 50, 60, and everybody's got different capacity, maybe for you, it's 40, 50, some of you might be for 70, right? But eventually there's only so many deals that you can do on your own. There's only so much time in a day, even if you have all this other stuff dialed in, to continue to grow and scale. Eventually, you got to start adding people. And especially if you want to build this into a business where you can continue to make more money, and continue to grow and scale, but also at the same time, buy back some time and have a life, right? Eventually it's going to take people. But here's the thing is, like, people can never show you their greatness unless they have great systems and process to plug into, right? If you're not tracking your data, it's very difficult to know in that seat, in that role, what those expectations are and know if they're winning or losing. So you got to know how to hire them. You got to know how to onboard them. You got to know how to train them. You got to know when to plug them into. Got to make sure that you have those systems and process to plug them into. All those things are extremely imperative. So these are the 8 steps to dial in if you are wanting to 2x, 3x, or 4x, or possibly 4x your business over the next year. All right, so with all that being said, if you need help getting this stuff dialed in, this is why I created my Mastery Bootcamp coaching program to help those, it doesn't matter what level that you're at. 80% of my coaching clients are team leaders and broker owners. About 20% are individual agents, in all different levels. I mean, some brand new out of school. I've got people who join brand new out of school that are brand new to this business, all the way through those, closing hundreds of millions of dollars a year in volume, and running and operating big organizations and operations. But the commonality is that my coaching clients are those that, even if they're a single agent, they want to build a real estate business. So with that being said, if you are frustrated, you got big goals, but you're frustrated that you haven't been able to get those results and achieve those results. It's like you're operating here, but you want to be way up here, and you don't know exactly how to do those. This is why I created my Mastery Bootcamp coaching program, which is a 12-month program where I'm going to walk you through everything that you need to do to go out there and crush it with these things that we're talking about here today. Everything A to Z in this real estate business, walk you through how to get dialed in. Here's what to do. Here's how to do it. Provide you all those necessary resources that you need. Plus, as I mentioned earlier, you have daily access to me. So we can, day by day, any obstacles that you experience, boom, we get those ironed out. We make sure that you have all these right skill sets in place. Anything that you need support with inside your business, we get you dialed in at. So if that is something that you are interested in learning more about, go to gsdmode.com. At the very top, you're going to see a place where you can schedule 100% zero pressure discovery Zoom call with me personally. And I'm going to ask you some questions about where your business is at, where your business is currently at, where you want to be in the next 12 months, your current biggest obstacles that you're experiencing. I'm going to ask you some questions. I ask that you be open and honest with those. This is just me and you on the call. It's shared with nobody, but for me to be able to help you at the highest level, I got to know what's going on, right? And again, this is 100% zero pressure. I've got a very strict, absolute no pressure policy inside my organization. So I'm not going to push you, pressure you, walk you through what the coaching program is, what it entails. And if it's a fit for you, great. If not, that's okay too. Also make sure that the call is powerful for you. We spend about, 10, 15 minutes talking about what the coaching program is, answer any questions that you have. The other 40, 45 minutes or whatever, it's an hour-long call. We can just focus on your business and give you some extremely helpful tips that will help you, grow your business, whether you decide my coaching program is for you or not. Like I said, 100% zero pressure on these calls. So if it's something that you're interested in, go to gsdmode.com, schedule your call right away. That's going to be with me personally. It's going to be a Zoom call, so we'll get you dialed in. All right, you guys, truly appreciate you being here. Truly appreciate all your support. Keep crushing it, and I will see you next time. Peace.